Hey everyone, it's Carrie Eink. I'm an occupational therapist at the Star Institute for SPD, and I treat kids, adolescents, and adults here as an occupational therapist. Today, I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite tools as an OT, the mini trampoline. So, my love for mini trampolines started when I was young, like many of ours did. I remember being in elementary school and my neighbors had a big outdoor trampoline that we would always go over to their house and jump on for what seemed like hours. And I would always remember leaving their house with this euphoric feeling of, oh man, I can't wait to go do that again. For some reason, like many of you that have similar sensory systems to me can probably relate to, there's something about a trampoline that just gives you this high, and it's just the one piece of equipment that everybody had in their backyards as kids that everybody flocked to. So fast forward several years to becoming an OT, where my job was surrounded by pieces of equipment and things for movement and things for experiencing sensation. And the trampoline and swings and ball pits became my everyday, my 8 to 5 and what I was doing. My first sensory gym that I worked in was in Chicago. And I remember having many swings, and we had a spring-based trampoline that kind of hung out in the corner of my OT gym. And I remember that it was rarely chosen by any of my clients as one of the things that they wanted to play with. So we were primarily playing with the swings, we were playing with beanbags, we were doing all of these cool things. Until one day at our clinic, we were introduced to this bungee-based rebounder. And it's different from a spring-based rebounder in that it has more bounce. And I remember looking at it and never seeing one before. And I got on myself first. And I remember that exact feeling from when I was little came back. And it was that euphoric feeling. And I just couldn't believe that I could be doing this experience indoors. And it could be had on one of the mini trampolines, because I had never felt that before on any of the little spring-based trampolines that we always had in our clinics. So I decided to try it out with my first client that afternoon, and it's such a memorable experience for me. I remember it was a little 5-year-old boy, and he got on the trampoline and he looked at me and his eyes lit up and his face lit up, and he said, "I want to do this the whole time today." And if you're an OT, you know that these moments are the ones that we search for in therapy. We search for those magic, light in the face moments where kids are experiencing that euphoria. And the reason being is because then we know they're motivated, they're having fun. But as a professional, we know even more so that that's promoting what some call brain training, and as professionals, we call neuroplasticity. And so in treatment, as occupational therapists, we are trying to get kids into this just right space neurologically, so that their brain is in this place where it's set up for change and it's set up for progress. And when they're in that just right space, they have the best capacities for neuroplasticity and for change. So that's why you see OTs, what looks like in the gym, just having fun. But in reality, it's us trying to get to that just right space. And it was just amazing when I found this piece of equipment that could be transported nearly anywhere. Kids could take home, adults could take home, teens could take home, you could take it outside, you could bring it into the school. It was just really exciting to find, just by kids getting on it, immediately their face lit up to what reminded me exactly of those childhood experiences. So the other thing that trampolines are great at providing is something that in the sensory world we talk about a lot, and it's the movement senses. So you've probably heard of these before if you've done any research on sensory integration, but we have 2 movement senses called proprioception and vestibular processing. So vestibular processing refers to your head moving through space in its response to gravity. So when your head's bouncing up and down, you're getting a lot of vestibular input. Also, you're getting a lot of proprioceptive input, which refers to your joints and your muscles and where your body is in space. So a lot of the individuals that I work with from childhood up to adulthood, they likely need more input into these movement senses. And so a trampoline, just by nature, provides big amounts of this. So it connects your brain to your body to get bigger results in things like endurance, balance, coordination, and all of those other things that you hear OTs working on and things that we as OTs do, as well as a lot of physical therapists as well. And so by providing that increased sensory input, all of a sudden your brain's connected to your body, and we can do things like multisensory processing. So you're working your vestibular along with your proprioceptive, along with your visual sense to stay on the trampoline. We're working your auditory sense. Maybe we're talking to you, maybe there's music in the background, and suddenly it becomes kind of an OT's dream of having this multisensory fun experience for kids. So currently, I continue to use these trampolines pretty much every day. I use them with my adult clients in their individual treatments, teaching them maybe how to use it as a body warm-up activity, maybe how to use it to calm down, how to use it to alert their body. With teens, I use it really often as a way to get them moving again. A lot of times teens, can be wrapped up in video games. Maybe they've kind of sworn off movement because movement is difficult, or they're under responsive and they don't want to move anymore. So I found it can be such an awesome tool for teens to kind of get them that big burst of sensory input and get them motivated for movement again. The other big thing that I use it for, well, as a side note, I also use it on our lunch breaks for the workers at STAR, and we all get together and we use it to organize our own bodies over our lunch breaks, and that's been really cool to be able to use it alongside my coworkers too. And then the last thing I use it for is for group movement classes. So I've been doing trampoline-based group classes for kids for about 3 years. I started doing them in Chicago, and once my OT brain learned about all the benefits that a mini trampoline can have, I bought more of them within our clinic, and we started running classes where we had fun music, we had games that incorporated the coordination activities, along with red light, green light games, and different games like that to kind of work the brain and the brain training along with the body coordination. And I was fortunate enough that when I moved to Colorado and started running the classes at STAR, we started research on them. And the research is showing just what I was expecting to find, that coordination, endurance improves as kids, even if they just jump for 10 class sessions. We're seeing improvements in their coordination. And what was really cool, and what I'm seeing within the classes when I hold them, is that we're actually seeing improvements in self-confidence and socialization. So by turning on, getting the brain online, getting the body online, kids are in this just right magic moment space. They start talking to each other, they're having fun, they're, wanting to come back the next day. They finally found a group class that they want to come back to, and they're finally not scared that it's going to be too difficult, too overwhelming, because they each have their own little trampoline island, like I like to call it, that they can move at their own pace. They can take a break if they need to, and they're still getting all this input for their brain and their body, which is really fun. And another huge benefit is that me as a therapist, I also get to have the bouncing and get that input that I've loved since I was little. So yeah, that's kind of an intro into some of the reasons why I love the mini trampoline. I'd love to hear from you guys about how you're using it. I'll include a link to the research that we're doing and to my classes. If you guys have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. Thanks, guys.